to make the show ready for Cairo's broadcast, we take our subject in 10-minute segments. So we'll pay attention for 10 minutes and try to stay on subject, and then we'll break and roll into the next subject. So, but they don't always, read my show sheet and notes, so I really don't know what's going to happen. It's very fun. It's very casual.
We're professional.
And during the break, of course, shout out questions, adulations, criticisms. Get up. Your chairs aren't wildly comfortable, so you're welcome to walk around and stand up if you want. Annie's in the house. She's director at Hot Stove, and she's making breakfast. Cameron's keeping the place clean. Sean is our technical director, and the talent.
So when you have criticisms in our industry, the talent really doesn't get criticized. It's the producer that gets criticized.
And we love you, Pam.
Yeah.
Did they do a break? And then they come back?
All right, we're ready to go then.
Let's roll.
You go to Fred Meyer just to get stuff for our show sheets?
This is cool. The Scrabble thing. I love that.
No, Amy signed me up for Sticker of the Month Club.
There's actually a thing like that. Oh my God.
Pipsqueak. Sticker of the Month.
Unbelievable. I didn't even know there was such a thing.
Welcome to the Hot Stove Radio. My name is Tom, your host today for the next 2 hours. Thrilled to be here. This is the Hot Stove Society Kitchens right in downtown Seattle in the beautiful hotel.
And I'm Thierry Rotero, the chef in a hat, your co-host, and to be here every week with you, Mr. Douglas.
Yes, indeed. Favorite 2 hours of the week. Our producer
right.
today, Ms. Pam Hinckley, who had her last day officially as Hot Stove Society Director. Yesterday was her official. We had a little surprise party for her last night.
That's right.
And, Miss Vegetarian over here ate so many lamb chops I couldn't keep count. Yeah.
But you did such a great job at grilling them. I also had some, and it was delicious.
Good. Sean, our technical producer, is here today. And, of course, Sean, Don't Call Me Dottore, is in the studio. He's our editor weekly. So we've got a large show. Pam has put together a large show for us today. Tony Mignano is going to join us. Tony probably doesn't know this, but he and his grandfather, I'm guessing it was his grandfather, and I were buddies on Bainbridge Island in 1980. And we'll talk about that a little bit.
You're old.
Learn about the Napoleon brand and company that's been with us for quite a long time, over 100 years. The sheet pan dinner craze has not abated.
It's not giving up.
You're looking at me like you never use a sheet pan when you cook. Jackie does all the time, so ostensibly I do too.
All right, so you're familiar. You can address the topic.
I can. But here's the problem with sheet pan dinners.
Well, you just got to clean them once.
You got to clean the sheet pan
burned.
afterwards, because I like them on high. I like 500 degrees.
Me too, yeah.
Ooh,
And
that's
roasting
high.
those vegetables. And then, the
It's
cleaning
okay.
the pan
We'll give them a little
afterwards.
trick how to clean them fast.
I'm curious, Chef, because I need to know. Crispy beans beyond their garbanzo. Time for our annual pantry spice refresh. I always think of this as a Super Bowl tradition where you go through your little cupboard and you get rid of the stuff that's been in there. Put a date when you buy stuff. You go out and buy, $30 a pound roast, and then you put 5-year-old spices on top. It makes me twisted. So don't do that. Elise from La Parisienne Bakery is here, and Otilia from Alliance Francaise team up for an event featuring Galette de Rois. I don't even know what Galette de Rois is.
Yes, you do. The King's Galette.
The King's Galette. That's
We
right.
had it last
figure
year.
it out.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I forgot.
We'll get to it.
Lastly, we're going to play the the Rub with Love Food for Thought Tasty Trivia Challenge. And, I had been wondering if this game was rigged because it seems like, I'm just guessing that my questions are a little more
You're
difficult.
still asking yourself that question?
Yeah, than the rest.
I think the numbers are in. You're a fool if you haven't noticed.
Yeah, exactly. I'm starting to notice. Anyway, we're going to play that game to round out our show. Let's talk about our favorite taste of the week. Chef.
I'm going to say those little lamb chop last night were my taste of the week because I had 2, but I could have had 10 in the same run. I held myself because I was in public eye, so I was like, hey, I don't look like a little piglet, but I definitely could have had more than 2.
Mm-hmm. A big like
It's a
that, you
great-
can't eat all at once.
Exactly. But it's a great idea as if you do a party where you want to have a little bit heavier hors d'oeuvres.
Right.
I think that's a great substantial items to have as a delicious item. It was
And they come with their own toothpick.
exactly, you get the bones and a little foil on each bone, and that's very cool. It's a great idea. And of course, master at the grill, Mr. Douglas, was making them perfectly delicious. And what was on top? Little herb.
A little
herb,
veggie rub from our
yeah.
Rub with Love line, which Pam helped design. It was her going away party, so I used the veggie rub
I
because
know that was delicious.
she likes to brag
And you
about
know
that
what
one.
was delicious is that little yogurt dip that was right next to it that put right on top of that.
There were a couple fun things about that party, food-wise, last night. One was it had a theme.
Right.
I think sometimes people forget that that's a fun kind of way to approach a little party. So we all know, even though I've written 4 cookbooks,
I wrote one.
you've written a cookbook. Pam's favorite.
I didn't see any of my recipe last
Yeah,
night.
Pam's favorite cookbooks are
Otilange's.
Otilange's, Jerusalem, and Simple what?
Plenty.
Plenty, yeah. So that doesn't hurt my feelings a bit. So we went, Annie took on the job of cooking the entire meal from those books. And then I did the little lamb chop on the back. She claims to be like this ultra hippie vegetarian type person, but she cannot resist the lamb chop.
Well, she cannot resist the lamb chop. She cannot resist the rib roast, the chop.
Yeah,
She
the veal
cannot
chop.
resist-
Yeah.
There's a few meat items
Yeah.
over
There's
the
a
year.
crack in the armor.
Yes,
No.
there is.
There's been
So
a-
anyway, the cool thing about those lamb chops, Chef, was I got the lamb at Costco of all places.
Nice.
No, we're not surprised.
I know you're not surprised. I'm a Costco fan. And they have these French directs. You saw them.
Yeah.
They come French. All you have to do when you do a little individual chop like that is I take the whole fat cap off because they're
Sure.
not going to cook long enough to render that
Right.
fat.
Plus,
Like they would if it was a whole rack, you could just brown the fat and put it in the oven and it renders a bit.
Right.
But not in a little mini chop like that.
and not standing up. You don't
Yeah.
want a big piece of fat in the
Yeah.
middle of a party in your mouth. That's kind of
Ew.
Yeah.
not the time, not the place.
So those typically are 8-bone racks.
There is a time.
And so those racks are not even, they're about a pound, maybe
Yeah.
a pound and a half.
7 chops.
And you just 8 chops.
8. Oh,
8 chops, yeah.
bigger lamb.
And you simply just cut through the back. The chine bone is off, so you can cut right through them. You got to wiggle your boning knife through the
Sure.
little rib bones a bit on the back. And so they end up being what? What were they? Not even a half-inch thick.
Yeah, I mean at most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
No,
so
man,
that's
They
and
cook really fast.
a
They're
lot of
easy.
rub, super hot.
Yeah.
Because if you let them sit for too long, well, they were pretty well done by the time anyone got them, but it's marbled enough that you couldn't. It
Right.
didn't bother the lamb to be.
But you
more
want
cooked.
them. You want them to be like that. You want them to be a little bit more cooked. You don't want them raw.
Yeah, you don't want like rare raw flesh hanging out of people's mouths while they're drinking champagne.
What is this? A zombie party?
So yeah. The other thing I would say for my taste of the week was last night I had steamed carrots.
After this dinner, you had another dinner.
Yeah, I was cooking. I don't know if you noticed last
yeah,
night, but
I
I was
did.
cooking. So
That's true.
when I went home, I had steamed carrots, and it just made me realize how much better roasted carrots are than steamed carrots.
Yeah, but you.
So my taste of the week is don't steam your carrots.
you know,
Roast your carrots and put something like a toasted black cumin or something like that.
no, I love steamed broccoli
Uh-huh.
and I love roasted broccoli. Obviously, we've talked about that many times. It turns out to be that some green vegetables do better, release better vitamins. Because I read about this
Yes. In
roasted
Consumer
than
Reports.
they do steam. I'm like,
Yeah, because you're washing
Damn.
out a lot of that.
Huh?
You're washing out all of
yeah,
that
yeah,
flavor
yeah.
and
No,
deliciousness.
so roasting is still very hot. Roast your veggies.
Roast your veggies. All
Get
right.
your nutrients.
Tony Mañanos here from the local import company food family who started the Napoleon line of products. We see them in the grocery stores.
I know. I have,
Sometimes, if you aren't familiar, it feels like they're esoteric products, like anchovies but the big one is olive oil. So we're going to have Tony up and learn all about the company and some of the products, some recipes, and I want to hear about Angelo. Angelo was one of my favorite people early on when I moved to Seattle in 1977. That's when we come back on the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Yay! This is not for radio, but I just want to tell the audience why Tony's here today, besides the fact that he's incredibly generous to respond to a 2-day in advance call. I have a friend in the audience that said, you guys should do a little segment on some of the weird products that you see at the grocery store.
the weird product.
Napoleon caviar.
It was supposedly Napoleon caviar. So I tell Tony this, he says, we don't make it.
I knew it was a European asshole.
But
Some sort of czar somewhere, yeah.
it got me thinking about how important their company is and their family has been to Seattle. And they've grown such a beautiful business. So you're in the hot seat, man.
Thanks, man.
Get in there.
Hey,
Good morning. So get as close as possible to the mic, like this.
Like that, like
Yeah.
this.
So
Actually,
bring it.
Sean
Bring,
can
bring
fix
it
that
to you.
for
Bring
you,
it
yeah.
to you.
so
It's very
That's better.
movable.
Tony, listen to me. And listen to me. You hear the difference? So you want to be the voice of God.
Oh, Tony.
There
Is that
you
better?
go. There
Is
you
that good?
go.
There we go.
Isn't that hot? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, God.
I can tell he's going to be a good guest.
Yeah.
He's going to roll with you guys.
It's early.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tom, Angelo is
Wait. We're gonna do that
No,
on
no,
the
no,
radio.
No, it's
just to
fine.
clarify, he's not my he's my grandfather's brother.
Your
All the-
grandfather's
it's all the
brother.
same, though.
Yeah.
So your
It's-
great uncle.
He's my great uncle. But actually my Uncle Joe had mentioned some things about Angelo and knowing you, and so we'll talk about that.
Okay.
But just so he's not.
And his wife's name was Mary?
Yes.
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 She was
They're all Marys.
Oh, Mary.
she was feisty, that one.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God. She was a piece of
Can I
work.
emulate that feistiness?
This was a different type of feistiness. Like a I'll cut you
That was
feistiness.
right there. Look, I think I don't know what the word means.
Is that what you call feisty?
We're
Google
gonna
eyes.
hear-
Google eyes is not feisty.
We'll hear more,
Okay.
Tony.
And we're back. It's the Hot Stove Kitchen here in downtown Seattle. I think we're running about 22 years strong, Chef, if I'm not mistaken. So 21, 22 years. Thanks for being our listeners for all of that time, whether it's live or on podcast or available or in person. You have a
From
big
San
audience.
Diego to
Or
Virginia.
on YouTube.
From San Diego to Virginia to Omaha, Nebraska, all the way into Seattle, Washington. That's how far we go.
You know,
And
one
even
time,
Hawaii.
remember when I was doing the show live,
Uh-huh.
we would often do the show together, and I did it one time from a church in Siena,
Ooh.
Italy,
Oh,
live
yeah.
at 1 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning, something like that. Anyway, it was super fun. Tony Magnano is here. He's fourth generation of the family who founded the immensely impactful local food company, Napoleon. And he'll be with us for a couple of segments. So the first part, we're going to focus on your family's history and how Napoleon got started. And then we'll talk about maybe where Napoleon is today and how to use some of the products.
He's buried in. No, just kidding.
Napoleon
The
joke.
French guy.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
buried in.
So I guess that's probably the first question is how
Uh-huh.
did an Italian food product
Uh-huh.
company end up with
Uh-huh.
a general from France as its leader?
That's probably the number one question that
Yeah.
I get anywhere, when calling on different accounts and stores and people, they want to know how is a
Yeah.
Italian family. So there's 2 or 3 probably acceptable answers, depending on who you talk to. There's some family members.
Okay, we'll
listening
pick
to
one
the-
out of the 3. How's that?
The number one would be that when my great grandfather Antonino came over from Italy, they started in the delicatessen business and just in South Seattle, and they thought that they should have their own brand He still knew people, obviously, in the old country for olive oil and such things. His family was in the pesto business, Northern Italian Genovese. Long story short, they came up with 3 different brands, and they decided to figure out which one was going to sell better. And they, at the time, the Italian immigrants were a little bit frowned upon in everywhere, and so they weren't necessarily sure they wanted to do an Italian name, and so they picked 3. One of them was Victor Emmanuel, who was the first king of Rome, which is Italian. And they did Caesar. I always joke they really shot for the moon on the names.
I love Caesar.
Yeah, and then the other one was Napoleon, and the Napoleon brand ended up selling better than the other 2 brands, and that's what they stuck with. There was the French were a little more popular at the time. There was kind of the
Boy, that sure has changed.
That comes and goes. That stuff. The Italian were not hot, but then they became hot, and then the French went away. And
right. So that's more or less how the brand became, and then it kind of took off from there with our brand. Yeah.
So what year is that when it started?
1903.
1903.
Yeah. So
almost 120
120
years old.
years. Yeah. 4 generations. So we've been. We have our brand, and we were a distributor. We had grocery stores, and then it's now just kind of all funneled into just the brand.
Mm-hmm. Now, I've intertwined with your family over the years.
Yes,
I've been here since I got here in '77. I met, I guess, your great uncle Angelo and his wife Mary on Bainbridge Island in 1980 when I was 79, 80 when I was working as a chef at a restaurant called the Second Landing Restaurant.
Yep.
And your great uncle. Aunt.
He was everywhere around town. I mean,
they lived down in that new condo building down there in Eagle Harbor, and they owned a business called the Martinique.
Yes,
if I remember correctly, which was like a classic kind of American dinette.
Yes,
I'll call it. And we used to go to. I used to sneak in the back door because I wasn't old enough. I was 20 years old at the time, and we'd go see bands in the bar at the Martinique on Bainbridge Island. That's what I used to do. So.
My Uncle Joe, I call him Uncle Joe. He's really a second cousin. Is one of Angelo's sons, and he is the majority owner at Napoleon still. And when I told him, I guess it was 2 days ago, when Pam called me, said, "Hey, I'm going on with the 2 chefs," and he's like, you gotta tell Tom about Angelo, and he used to go into the restaurant all the time, and Angelo was a big talker, and then,
he was.
And then you had wrote when he passed, you had wrote a little obituary, and that always meant a lot to the family.
Oh, he was a sweetheart, and Mary too was the feistiest woman I've ever met. She was about the size of Annie Elmore, our chef here, and she had bright white hair, big black rim glasses. I mean, she just was in your face.
Bulldog.
Bulldog, absolutely.
Bulldog, yeah.
She's a little thing.
A legend.
Bulldog. Yeah.
A legend for sure.
Yeah. So, also, I don't know who she is in your family, but Anne.
Yes.
Had the little grocery in the Pike Place Market.
That's Angelo's daughter as well.
Right.
So Joe's sister. I mean, there's a lot of us kind of creeping
around.
Of you guys. So, yeah.
Now, what do you have anything to do, your family, with the Merlino company?
In the old days, competition, good old fashioned Italian competition. Okay.
Just pure competition.
Pure. I mean, we had, so there was, it was the business was A. Magnano and Sons, and then there was A. Magnano and Sons, there was Merlino, and then there was a couple other ones like the Croce,
PFI,
yes,
John,
exactly.
Yeah.
So there's some good stories that went around in the old days. My one kind of funny story. My grandfather, who ran the business for 50 yees, used to send trucks, even if they were empty, driving around town, and always used to go in front of Merlino's place. So he'd be like, "God damn, Magnano's, he's got the business."
Yeah. That is so awesome.
And then, it was pretty.
There was all kind of stories like this in the old days. I mean, Maxime de Paris. So allegedly, they didn't open the first month they were on. The entire press in Paris wanted to know what's this hottest new fancy restaurant, and they had fake people, cardboard cutout, in the restaurant every night. They were booked solid for a month. They didn't have a single customer. They were booked solid, and they made the waiters walk through.
Right.
This is a true story. And when they opened, they were packed for
Yeah.
like the next 75 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy
Good marketing plan.
Yeah, it worked. It worked. And then at some point, we really went more heavy retail,
Mhm.
grocery retail, and Merlino obviously is a premier food service
Yeah.
company, has been for
I've been
Yeah,
buying for
about
40
100
years.
years.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
been buying for 40 years plus myself. So.
oh yeah, for sure. It's
So then, so you started with olive oil as a company,
Yes.
if I'm not mistaken. And
little
then
jars, just
you-
little jars. People,
Oh,
you
really?
know-
Just tiny
yeah,
ones?
We have some in the. I mean, one of the coolest things about family business is the history is kind of written in
Mhm.
to the brand and things, and so we have some. I mean, 1.5 ounce.
I've seen those. I've seen those before. The Napoleon.
Maybe
ones.
Napoleon ones.
But I think they're more
Not for
than- they're
sale.
more than-
Don't consume it
It's been around for a while.
because
apparently.
that could be 100 plus.
They're
years
more than a
old.
1.5, but they're probably
8.5 ounce little bottles, maybe like
Yeah.
very
a truffle
small.
oil bottle, maybe or something like that.
1.5 ounce. That's pretty cool.
Well,
So-
this was in 1903 to 19
More
probably 20.
glass than olive oil.
Yeah, you're right.
So,
way.
so you've got over 150 products in the marketplace, and when we come back, I want to talk about the importance of food trends based on as you brought in new items, because that's how stuff happens, right,
Right.
Jerry?
So-
That's
And also, how do you keep up? I mean, it's 2022, 120 years later, or 23. And, how do you keep up with what's going on today? I mean,
Mhm.
there's a lot going on. So,
I mean, as far as new food trends go,
Yeah.
okay, like moving from salted anchovies to the fresh pack anchovy,
Right.
that was a definite trend, right? So-
Absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
All right, that's going to happen when we come back here on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
I hauled up a bunch of olive oil for everyone. So I'm sweating still, so that's what.
Ah.
I got some samples of olive oil. And
Oh,
I brought-
nice.
Chef, I know you like
Oh.
piquillo peppers.
Yes.
See your stuff.
We love piquillo
So
pepper.
I brought you a case of piquillos.
Wow.
I didn't have any cornichon, chef, at the office. I know you would have liked
those
those,
before.
but they're not French now. They're
Yeah, I know.
they're,
coming
they're all from
India.
they're India, then packed in Spain.
And they've had some serious issues.
Of course. Oh yeah, big
the cornichon
issues.
in India last year was
It's really bad.
it was a bad idea. Mustard
Yep.
from Canada
Yep.
got
Yep.
ripped off.
Yep.
And then cornichon in India.
Chef, my Aunt Mary, who is, well, it doesn't matter. Just my Aunt Mary.
Right?
She told me to say that when Luke closed, it would just crushed her
Aw.
world, and she said it was her favorite restaurant in Seattle ever. So she made sure
After
You see,
after
Tom?
of course, Edda's. I don't know.
Yeah, sure. You can drop one. It's
Yeah.
okay.
He's got to get one,
I
right?
know.
You got all the books. He's got one book.
Uh,
So she wanted me to pass
well,
that.
bless her heart and thank you.
Yeah, of course.
We had fun doing it while it existed. How's that?
yes, beautiful restaurant,
Yeah.
Oh, beautiful restaurant. Yeah,
very
beautiful.
urban, very Seattle.
It was beautiful because of his wife.
Yes.
Yeah.
The flowers, everything. The magic came from her. I was just cooking.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
I
oh
miss
yeah.
it. I miss
Right.
it too.
You know my Aunt Mary Monroe?
I probably know her by her
Yeah.
face.
She has
About
glasses
there.
also,
Yes.
Yeah,
and
I know
white
who she-
hair
I know who
also.
I know who she is.
She's a double the height of her mother, I think.
Oh,
She's-
easily.
Yeah,
Easily.
she's a
She's,
tall, slender
yeah.
woman.
Oh, she was an Olympic swimmer. I mean, she was.
Oh, was she?
Yeah, yeah. We were the Italian side. That's the good side. We're
That's the sporty side.
And Tom,
Yeah, they were always very good about bringing your great aunt out for meals and
everywhere.
and showing her everything. Yeah.
Yep, yep.
All right, here we go. You ready? We're back. It's the Hot Stove Society Show. We're having a ball with the Mignano family here. Tony is here telling us about the history of the Mignano. So when you're walking through a grocery store these days and you go into any sort of specialty aisle, especially olive oil or peppers
Vinegar.
or vinegar or anchovies or whatever it is, you see the Napoleon brand. And so can you explain to people what that means when you see that brand? Because I'm assuming you don't have boats out catching anchovies.
No.
So you're a negotiant is kind of how I would.
Yeah,
phrase
that's
it.
a good way to put it.
You go hunting for the goodies.
Yes. We're importers. I mean, that's where it starts. So we're the ones who make the relationships overseas. And there's a lot that goes into that, of course. But I'll just for the simple explanation, we're the we meet the suppliers. Obviously we're looking for certain items, whether it's marinated artichokes, say. So those can come from Spain, Peru, Italy. So we will then meet with those suppliers. We talk about minimums. We talk about how much we need to bring, where the product's going, what's it going to cost, yada, yada, yada. We book it.
And do you have a flavor profile that you ask
we do,
for also?
Yeah, we do. I mean, in certain items, capers are capers.
Yeah.
But all for sure on olive oil, balsamic vinegars, anything that would have certain designations or that people would recognize with their palate. So we try to keep we try to keep consistent. That's a big challenge in the import business and anything, just consistent product, consistent stock. So then we buy it. It gets put on containers. It comes into our warehouse. We have a warehouse here in Seattle. We have one in Chicago, and it shows up. We bring it in. We sell it to distributors, like a Merlino. He's more food service, of course, but anything. We're in about 30 states, but heavy West Coast, heavy Northwest for sure. I mean, this is our home, so in our backyard, you'll see the brand just about everywhere. So that's more or less. That's what the brand means when you see it in the grocery store.
Well, the coolest part to find out about Napoleon brand is that it's from Seattle. I had no idea. A long time ago, I remember going to the store and going, "Oh, this must be a French import of some kind."
Right.
Yeah. I've never heard of that company. I'm like, wow, it's like just like everybody else. I'm sure it's like And then one day I found out it was from here. I was like, what?
There recently we've been trying to do more of that. My grandfather always said that there's security in obscurity. So, I mean, which is an interesting take. To a point.
Ask Martha Stewart.
Yeah, really.
See how that went.
Right, maybe a little under the radar, Martha. So we are doing some more local things. We want people to know that we're local, but we're a small family business, so that, only certain time can be dedicated to those. We're working on a little bit more of a local presence. You can find it in every grocery store, so that's the start.
That's nice.
Right.
So you should be able to, my guess is if you like the anchovies, you would naturally think, well, if they make olive oil, I'll probably like their olive oil too, right? You get accustomed to the quality.
It's a brand.
And
Yes.
You can trust it. What are some of your top sellers and what are people doing with them?
Top sellers, always olive oil. Everyday stuff. There's some new trends, obviously, in oils. You guys had a show maybe last couple weeks ago about different oils, maybe. So there's, the grapeseed oil, avocado oils, coconut oils. We're talking not just Italian kind of theme stuff, but everyone assumes, everything's from Italy or it's from Spain or, what have you. But so there's keeping up with those trends on the new oils, the higher smoke point things. Different chefs want to try different things. And then you guys write books and that trickles down to foodies and consumers and they go look for it at the grocery store. Artichokes, always. Balsamic vinegar. We do a lot of seafood too. A lot of our anchovy stuff. We do smoked clams, smoked oysters.
That whole tin,
all that stuff.
Tin seafood aisle.
Exactly. Yeah, canned meats they call it. That's the canned meat aisle, which is always funny. And they still have that grocery stores. It's like
right.
Canned meat sounds gross. So I would say olive oil has always been the driver. Olive oil is also the most competitive in a grocery store because it's big money. It's like a wine set. Those bottles cost money and the inventory counts. And so to break into olive oil sets is challenging and expensive to do. Again, we've been here, so we have this hold, but our growth is to try to go sell Napoleon olive oil in Texas, which I'm currently trying to do, have been for the last 20 years is a challenge because they don't know the brand. So, but something like an artichoke, the product's good, price is right, supplier's good. It's really about the supply chain.
So what did you bring in over the years that you saw? Wow, we started a trend here. Was there?
We've done some things, yeah.
Artichoke hearts to me are probably one of those because now you used to see them when I worked at Benjamin's in Bellevue in 80.
Yeah.
1977.
Yeah.
I worked in Benjamin's in Bellevue.
Wow.
Fried artichoke hearts were the bomb.
Yep.
Everybody ordered them.
Yep.
We served them with hollandaise sauce.
Yeah. And still do. They're great.
Yeah. I mean,
I want that.
I know. But what else have you brought in that's kind of like that has set a trend?
Chef, artichoke hearts is actually a good one to talk about. A little more interesting. Artichokes were really primarily from Spain. In the old days, they started, the Spaniards grew them. And then just like with many items that are produced here in the United States, there's tariffs that get put on. There were tariffs that were put on artichokes in Spain. So to import, you were paying 15 to 20% just to import them on top of the cost of goods.
So is that to protect the American grower?
Right, which was dumb because the American growers don't can them.
Right.
So any artichoke they do it with olives, like your sliced ripe olives, same idea. Long story short, all the Spaniards took the seeds to South America and planted them in Peru. Now, I would venture to guess 99% of an artichoke that you find in a number 10 can from Merlino or in a 14-ounce can from Napoleon,
Comes
all
from Peru.
all Peruvian, and it's
Whoa.
great product. The price is Spain still has artichokes, but it's the same product, 30% more. So there's little nuances that can occur, during the process of all this, and you just need to be nimble and act. We were actually the first to import artichokes from Peru. So as far as things we've done, we were the first to import organic olive oil. I think outside of New York,
2000
New
or
York
so,
City.
yeah?
Oh no.
Earlier for
Oh
organic?
yeah. Well, Seattle, baby.
Yeah.
Like this, everyone
Yeah.
wants their organic
That was back
everything.
in
So we were
1985.
when
probably.
PCC opened. I mean, that's the stuff they wanted. So we
But-
in the 70s we were doing organic olive oil. We do a great deal of bulk importing as well. So many of the salad dressings you find in the grocery stores or anything from Ken's, huge packers of, we import their olive oil, balsamic vinegars, bring it over in our containers.
So I'm sure customers send you recipes.
Yes.
What do you find most thrilling? Have you tried a recipe yourself that a user has sent in?
Yeah, I have. I answer one of the one of my favorite things about our business and what I do, and it doesn't make us any money, is answer a lot of consumer questions. I mean, complaints or what have you. I'm the one who answers the info at Napoleon email address, so we get a
now
lot.
I know.
Yeah,
Info at
not you, Tom.
Napoleon.
Let's send him some questions.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and so I will get. It's a lot of a lot of people come in and say, what do I do with the hearts of palm?
Mhm.
And so, and
Good
then a lot
question.
of people will say, they'll tell me like, well, I do this with, our artichokes, and I can't think of one off the top of my head, but there have been some amazing, people who take the time to write in and say, this is what we do with our family. And then I'll send them a case of artichokes for free, just like here, and they love it. That's kind of the cool local.
Okay, you
It's
guys
kinda-
know what
Okay,
to do.
yeah. Not you guys though.
My
I know.
favorite things.
And I keep a list. It's a long list, so I know if you do it twice. No double dipping.
My favorite things that I use your product day in and day out are the tubes of products, and I think that people
yeah.
would be surprised
The
at that.
paste.
But like an anchovy paste or a
Yes.
tomato paste,
Those are awesome.
Brilliant.
They
they
Yeah.
stay so fresh in the tube
Yes.
because there's no air let
Yes.
in, right? So that is, I don't know if that's a new phenomenon because my mother always opened the little cans of Contadina,
Yep.
Uh,
It's a newer. I mean, we've been doing them for probably 40,
Really?
50.
That-
Yeah. I mean, the tube business is very actually. I don't know how deep you guys want to get, but it's hard.
well,
It's
we only
rough.
have a minute left, so
Yeah.
not too deep.
It's hard. You have to buy a lot. The minimums, the suppliers in Italy, you have to buy quite a bit,
Mhm.
and some of it up front in order for them to pack out because it's all minimums for them. But
And it's funny because in Europe it's extremely, extremely popular,
yes,
but in the States it doesn't pick up yet in terms
It's
of
coming,
popularity.
though.
that's
It's coming.
that's how it works, Chef. I mean, for
Yeah.
us, it's like the suppliers tell us what's coming, and then we
Right.
react.
Well, so fun having you here.
Thanks,
Yeah.
you guys.
Thank
I
you so much.
actually, I don't know how Amy Kirtland is related to you.
Just cousin. Yeah.
She's a cousin, but I worked with her on the Food Lifeline
Yeah.
board.
Yep.
Yeah, we work together.
So again, your family and my family has been intertwined for many decades now.
Well, I was thinking, and I won't take any more time, but on the last night I was thinking about how we're a fourth generation company, and then 4 generations of my family have eaten at your guys' restaurants because
Isn't that crazy?
I mean, when
Yeah.
you think about it in that way, I mean, from Rovers.
That's
to
how long.
all of
That's how
yours,
long we've
Tom.
been around.
Yeah, right, and that's how long we've
Chef,
been around.
that means you're old.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I hate to break you the news.
Me, I'm
but
a spring chicken.
you older.
All right. That's Tony Mignano.
Thanks,
Thank you
guys.
so much.
Thank you.
Coming up next, we're going to talk about the continued popularity of sheet pan meals on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
Anybody got any questions for Tony before we let him go?
Has anyone bought a Napoleon product? In all
Yeah,
these
let's
years?
see.
Yeah.
No, you didn't. Oh,
Hearts
God.
of palm. Wow.
The tubes. You let the tubes.
Yeah.
Roasted red bell pepper.
Yeah, the peppers.
Artichokes. Okay, great. Thank you guys. That's so good to hear. Olive oil. Well, I brought 4 cases.
You know,
I parked
we have a
too
hard
far.
time making money around here, so we're going to keep the olive oil.
This is the family stuff. This is the good stuff.
On top of it, he brought the good stuff. As in, you.
I'll just leave it back there.
Thank you so much.
Wow.
Very kind.
Thank you.
You are awesome.
Say
We
hi to your
appreciate
family.
it.
Say hi to the family.
Yeah.
Peppers, if you haven't tried Tom knows.
Yeah.
If you haven't tried peppers,
I love them. You can puree them into a sauce. You can stuff them with a little
So yummy.
salt cod. You can do all sorts of things with them.
Is piquillo the variety or the way it's treated?
It's a varietal of
It's the
peppers.
varietal.
They're the larger ones, right?
They're large.
And they're kind of pointed.
Yeah. They're tubish,
They're delicious. Yeah.
but they're really rich. They're almost like a paprika pepper. They're so rich.
Thank you.
In your,
See,
straight to your pantry.
Compliments work.
Hey, you know what I got last night?
What? Yeah. So good.
I gotta come around here more.
More often.
I like your veggie bread. I did that on-
Thank you.
from
Oh, she's begging you for a jar right now.
Uh-oh.
Ballroom wants to go make popcorn and you see-
Yeah.
I said,
Yeah.
That's how I make my popcorn always.
Mm.
See, I told you, Tom. It wasn't a joke.
Yeah.
She
For
did.
dinner.
That's my,
Yep.
champagne and
Champagne
popcorn with
popcorn.
veggie bread.
I'm not sure how we're going to do if you only buy it once a year to watch the Oscars. Okay, we're back. Everyone's getting a full plate of food. Tony Magnano is handing out presents. We're having a good time here at the Hot Stove Society show. If you ever want to come by, how do people do that, Pam?
Oh, to buy a ticket to the
Yeah,
show
yeah.
on the Hot Stove website. We'd
Yeah.
love to have you.
Love to have you. It's $25. You get a little breakfast. How's breakfast? Edible? Yeah.
You get
Hot
coffee.
coffee, cold water, hot coffee.
Oh boy, what a
Nice.
Pam, you
Tom.
you put this on the show sheet because I think you're fascinated by a trend that didn't go away,
treat. It didn't go away.
and you thought it would. Why? Because like you thought one pot meals were going to go away, like beef
I
stew.
just thought it was too simplistic,
Ah.
and that people that love to cook want to move beyond that. But I was wrong
So-
because the food press is still full of fabulous ways to do sheet pan dinners.
Sheet pan
It
dinners.
just gets better and better.
And when you've had them, have you ever done it?
Oh yeah,
Yeah. So what's your favorite outcome with a sheet pan dinner?
something so crispy and
Crispy,
salty
right?
and roasty. That's
Yeah.
why I was attracted to them at first, because I don't like the crock pot stuff.
Because it's
And
too stewy and
Stewy. I want crunchy bits. And you can achieve that. And I love things with squashes and feta and getting onions really black. You taught me that.
Mm-hmm.
So you can achieve that easily on a sheet pan.
Chef, you ever do sheet pan dinners?
Yes, yes. And so far, you've mentioned vegetables, which is good. But what happens when you start adding protein? Because, I mean, if you're going to have, for example, chicken breast, it's going to take a certain amount of time to cook the chicken breast. You're also going to dry it up if you just do too hot of a heat. So for me, one of the advice is to pull things as they're ready. Don't expect everything to cook exactly the same way.
Or get chicken thighs.
Or get chicken thighs. And then they won't be ready when your broccolis are ready.
Yeah, that's
So-
why you need a recipe as you get used to the technique.
Right. Well, you need to understand the length of cooking for each item. That's, I think, important, the most important part. But in general, vegetables, you size them up, you cut your carrots, or you keep them a certain thickness, and your broccoli and your onions and your fennel, everything that roasts really nicely. Quick toss in olive oil, preferably Napoleon brand right now because we have so much
That's
of it.
right. We want to use
And,
Napoleon.
You know, a little bit of seasoning, a little bit of rub with love seasoning,
Mhm.
and then put that on the sheet pan and roast your vegetable. And for me, I love doing sheet pan on leftovers because the product is
Oh.
already cooked. So it's an easy warm up.
That's a good thought.
You know, if you have foods left in the fridge, it's easier to line them up on the sheet pan, you know, slice your chicken breast. I'm going to use that as an example, or slice your roast, whatever. Fan them really nicely. So the average rewarm time is about 5 to 10 minutes at the most for all of it. And it will come out all pretty much even. Put your sauce, if you have some gravy or sauce, warm it up on the side in the pan, pour the whole thing over, and everything is nice and warm.
So let's go back to where you started, which was putting things. I think it's important that when you're roasting a big tray of vegetables that you have similar cooking time. So
Right.
let's just say that your ingredient list includes butternut squash chunks, little maybe marble-sized potatoes that are cut in half.
Right, right.
Now you want to cut your carrots about that same size.
Right.
You want to keep your broccoli stems thicker than just the little tiny flowerets off the head.
Right.
You just have to kind of plan your whole mix there.
Right.
And then I have no problem with people putting their kind of like boned out chicken thighs right on the same sheet pan because then
Yeah.
the chicken fat kind of and juices melt right into your
Right.
roasting vegetables.
Extra fat doesn't hurt anything.
Yeah. And so are you
Look at
taking,
that.
when you do all those vegetables, we put them into a bowl, you olive oil, salt and pepper, toss them.
Yeah.
And then I know Jackie loves the sheet pan dinner. My wife, she puts her sheet pan in the oven or her cast iron pot in the oven and then puts the tossed vegetables into the hot pot.
Yeah, that's you can do that if you have a thick pan.
Mhm.
Those aluminum baking sheet pan are not very easy to do that because they cool off very fast. They warm up very fast, but they also bend if they come in contact with. I mean, it's aluminum, so if it
Right, but
comes
they
in-
make them in different thicknesses. So you're saying invest in a thicker cookie
a
sheet
very
pan.
thick cookie sheet pan.
Yeah.
You know, one that's got no bending because of the heat.
Mhm.
And then it's really cool because you pull that out. When you put it out really, really hot and you put those vegetables on there, they will sear right away. So you will have a better searing on your vegetable.
Pro tip right there.
Pro tip.
And what about you, Tom?
I just oddly enough, when this showed up today, I just made a sheet pan dinner at the farm.
Tell us more.
The other night, I did what I just talked about with the vegetables, everything we had in the fridge. We made into the right size. They all cook similar. Tossed it all. I put my taco seasoning on it, which is my new fish taco rub, and laid it out on the sheet pan. But I turned to 500. I'm a hot roaster. I like 500 because I want the tips of the broccolis to get all crispy, crunchy, and dark. I don't mind if they caramelize dark. So I did all that in the pan, and I got my shrimp ready to go with that. So I was making a salad. So I had my cucumbers and my greens in one bowl, my roasted veggies in another on the sheet pan, and then I sautéed my shrimp with the taco
This
seasoning
is
and
a
garlic.
3-pan dinner.
It's a 3-pan dinner, but I achieved
Yes, Pam, you have
Nirvana
dishes to do.
with each of my different ingredients, right? The bowl was the bowl, but I was making a room temperature roasted vegetable and shrimp dinner,
That sounds
right?
fantastic.
And so that's how you kind of achieve that is by, I wouldn't call the bowl a pan. Because when you take your sheet pan dinner to the table,
Oh,
do
they
you
look
eat
at
off,
it as
do you
have
eat
to
off
clean that?
the, I'm the cleaner. Do you eat off the sheet pan or do you put it onto
No,
a platter?
no, of course not.
Yeah, you put it onto a platter.
Elegant.
You're a heathen.
I love that it's a warm salad, and we've got to do more segments on that because people don't think of salad as food or dinner. So I've had to start tricking my husband into eating salads by making sure there is a warm component to it, and then it's like, oh, that's dinner.
That's dinner. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
Because I love a good niçoise salad
Oh, yeah.
or
Yeah.
a shrimp salad with Thousand Island
No,
dressing.
but it's nice
or-
when it's warm for sure.
Steak salad.
I
like
love a
coming
good
to your
steak salad.
your
Yeah.
house for steak salad.
Where do we all learn steak salads though?
I don't remember.
Thai restaurants, Thai beef salad.
yeah.
You know, it's like that was
And
really
it's also a good time to use your beet green and your radicchio and your bitter green to just finish at the end
Yeah.
and toss in the pan. You know, you put up your vegetable, you put them in a bowl, and the pan is still hot, and you just finish your greens right on top of that. Slice slice them, and then toss them on top of that. So they will wilt, and you just put that into your salad.
Mm.
It's a good addition.
Thank you for bringing up the leftovers in the refrigerator, though, because today's trivia, I'm obsessed with food waste this month.
God, it
And
is such
ending-
a problem.
It's a problem.
Yeah.
So using the sheet pan technique to use up what's in the refrigerator, doll it up.
Yeah, exactly. And then
really
don't
good
forget,
idea.
once you get done roasting all that, it needs a dressing, but it doesn't
Yeah.
need to be anything. Because you're putting olive oil on when you're roasting all the vegetables, it becomes a little bit heavy to begin with.
Right.
All you really need at the end is squeeze of lemon,
Acid.
or I love muscatel vinegar,
Yes.
moscato vinegar, and salt and squeeze of lemon, and
Right.
you're done, right? So you don't want to make it any heavier.
Yeah.
It's not the time for ranch. Don't make it any heavier than what it already is.
A good ranch on top of it.
All right, got another full hour of goodness to come our way, right?
Yep.
Hour number 2 of the Hot Stove Society show. It's going to begin with crispy beans. On Cairo, it's the Hot Stove Society 97.3 FM. Nope. You do for convection over, because convection of that hot air is best for roasting vegetables.
But I would buy electric if you're going to spend a lot of money, because pretty soon gas is going to be prohibited.
Well, it won't be prohibited. Like, you'll be able to keep your gas stove. You just can't buy a new one.
That's true.
Should we vote if we're going to listen to her question or not?
Well, when you make flavored oil, like basil oil or garlic oil, I forgot to ask you this, Jerry, but like how long can you use it? Because those flavored oils, you have to use them within like let's say a week or.
On their counter, probably a week, but in the fridge, they last
In the
much
fridge, I
longer.
would say they're going to stay. They would probably, I would say, if you flavor the basil oil, I would say give yourself no more than a month to use it, but keep it in the fridge. Oh, garlic oil is like, you can keep that for, yeah, but put it in the
Oh,
fridge.
no. It'll go
Not
rancid.
forever,
Yeah.
nothing.
Not forever, but like at least for more
A
than
month. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
just
you have to be careful with raw garlic on your counter, because it has, it can go,
sour.
not just sour, but it can develop deadly toxins. So just read up on it before you do it. There's processes you can do.
If it ain't feeding you, it's going to kill you somewhere along the line.
Shohana, you ready for hour number 2?
All right. Is Otilia coming? Okay, they're coming.
So
Yeah. Uh-huh. Right.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we'll
No,
do
sir.
hers,
Right.
but after that, let's just, what else can you do with people?
Right. Well, I'm not a big dry bean thing. I'm a fresh bean kind of guy.
I like dry anymore because Jackie throws them at the farm. And so
Right. Well, when you say dry bean, you mean fresh bean that have been dry. You don't mean cooking them dry. Like you don't mean like doing what these people have done.
No, can of beans.
Right.
Although I think that's
Me, what I would do is I would cook some beans, and then I would soak them into nice duck confit fat or something like this. Now, that would make total
yeah,
sense to
but
me.
their beans are exposed.
Right.
So they were half.
Not even half, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I get you.
All right, you guys ready?
Tup.
All right, we're back at the Hot Stove Society show. Chef Rotaro, the chef in the chapeau.
Oui, Monsieur Douglas.
I am Tom Douglas, and we have one more hour to go. Hopefully, we trust. I shouldn't say that because people all over the world are listening to us. But hopefully, you're in a garden somewhere or on a golf course, listening in your podcast while you're putting.
Or you're
That's
just
what
in
I
the
do.
kitchen.
I don't know if you know that or not, but that's what I do.
Yeah.
Or maybe you're in your kitchen.
Yeah.
That's true. We have another hour. We're going to talk about crispy legumes outside of the garbanzo bean, why you need to refresh your spices and herbs annually to kind of keep track of what's going on there. We have a couple of French pastry of folks coming in here. Talk about the Alliance Francaise.
Alliance Francaise. Annual
Thank you for that.
commemoration for the Galette des Rois. That's okay. That's all right. You're getting good. It's
You're
101.
getting better. I'm just saying your pronunciation is getting much better.
No, I should try in French. L'Alliance Francaise.
There you go. And of course, we're going to wrap up the show today with our Food for Thought Tasty Trivia Challenge. Do we have a contestant picked out yet?
We're going to get a victim from the audience.
Oh,
A
really?
victim.
You better get two because we're feeling pretty feisty today.
No wasted food. That's the theme.
That's the theme. All right, Chef, there's a question on the table. Maybe, Pam, you could get us started on this question. It came to you or you found it. Tell us about the crispy bean question.
Well, there was, garbanzos have ruled the roost for being a legume that people crisp up with some fat.
And are not embarrassed about taking out of a can. Or,
Exactly.
Yeah, they just seem like green beans you would get frowned upon out of a can. Garbanzos people are cool with.
They're cool with it.
Yeah.
Although now Washington is such an excellent garbanzo producer, and you can get varietally designated year of harvest, and so in Washington, buy freshly dried.
And you can get them fresh.
Yeah, for a short period of time.
Right.
But I ran across a great article that someone had ended up crisping up their white beans by accident. And I thought, oh, this works for other beans as well. And then I started remembering that recipe you did with black beans at Cantina Lania that people
Pinto beans, yeah.
with pinto beans
Yeah.
that everybody is still asking for because it was revelatory to have a bean with a crispy crunch like that.
Mhm.
So I know about garbanzos. I'm going to try the white bean this weekend, but could you tell us how that pinto bean came about?
Sure, and the crispy crunch is not an al dente crunch, right?
Right.
So
That's exactly what I
there's
was
a
going
big
to say.
difference there.
It's a bean that's cooked all the way and then becomes dried out on the outside.
Yeah.
Not just dried from raw.
Right, not undercooked.
Correct.
Yeah. Matter of fact, if anything, they're overcooked.
They're twice cooked.
They're twice cooked. Yeah.
Is that what the secret is?
So for me, yeah. So we have fully cooked pinto beans. So if you were to bite into it, it would just mush in your mouth, right? And then we almost confit them in garlic oil. So we would cook them longer in garlic until they got crispy on the outside, and then we would finish them with toasted garlic. And so they were the kind of creamy but crunchy, garlicky beans. And we started with them as I just made them out of a trial, right? That's how a lot of chefs get to where they're going.
Yeah, sure.
Just hey, this sounds good to me. And then it became very popular. It became our number one selling bean over the refried beans or the black beans.
People are still asking for that recipe, but it's
hard.
It sounds hard, and that the article I read about the white bean was by accident because they put it under a chicken when they were roasting it. And the point that they made was that there weren't enough beans to fill the pan.
Right.
So the grease from the chicken was distributed in a way to not really bathe them, which is
They were still exposed to the oven heat. So these were a canned white bean that were drained and then put on the sheet pan like you would a roasted vegetable.
Yeah.
And then they cooked with the chicken fat and they became crispy on the side that was exposed to the hot air of the oven.
Yes.
And so they were surprised at that little crunch that they achieved.
But that's it. It sounds like with the pinto beans, you use more fat. I think that's the point I'm trying to make.
I think they're not quite deep fried. Like I have a recipe in one of my books for deep fried garbanzo beans, right? That are fried until they get crunchy, and then I toss them with rosemary.
I think there's everything
leaves.
in that cookbook.
Incredible.
You should try it once in a while. It's a decent
try
book.
one of your recipes.
Yeah. Anyway, but that's one way to cook those beans, deep fry them. The ones at the Cantina Lenia were sort of that, but they were done in a cast iron pan, and wasn't that much fat in there.
Right. And I think it's the secret to get those beans dried is to not put too much fat. It's not confit. Confit is covered with fat. So you cook it slowly in oil or in fat. And in this case, it's just a little bit on the base. It's a chicken is rendering the fat. So you get that grease on the bottom. And those beans are just 1/3 into it. And then the rest dries out. And that's how they get that crispy skin. So
chef, like on cassoulet,
yeah.
The top layer of the beans with the breadcrumbs on top or whatever, they could get that same kind of texture,
They
right?
could get that texture if you were not putting the breadcrumb, because the breadcrumb is actually a cover to make the breadcrumb crisp instead of the
But
beans.
not the beans, yeah.
So, you could get the same results if you were taking the beans. But in cassoulet, there's a lot of jus and lots of sauce around it. So that kind of stops that crispiness. You would have to take the beans separately and then do that separately, crisp them separately. You'll duck fat on the sheet pan or on a cast iron pan, and then put your beans on the floor of the pan and then let them crisp up in the oven. That's how you would dry them out.
That sounds pretty good. I don't even care for beans that much, and that sounds really good to me right now. Although I've got,
Beans sounds
Jackie
good
grows
all
a
the
lot of
time.
beans, dried beans.
I know. I would think you.
And I'm starting to like them.
One
Feel mature.
of the fondest memory was the Stack House, which is a rib house outside of Kansas City. I went to once. Was doing a dinner at the American restaurant in Kansas City, and we went outside of Kansas City and went to this place. There's like 1,000 people like a day in that restaurant, and we were lucky to be able to go into the back, see how they were doing those ribs, and it was a roller that was probably the width of this kitchen here.
Whoa.
A giant roller, like I don't know how many racks of ribs. It was really a lot. So the beautiful thing about that thing was underneath, on the ground or underneath, there was a stainless steel square pan, like probably 6 feet by 6 feet or whatever that measurement was, and halfway full of beans, and all the fat from the ribs would fall down into those beans.
My
looked at those
vegetarian heart is pounding.
Well, again, by the way, this is a treat. That's why we call it a treat. If you eat this only once a year,
Yeah.
you will live a long life with a big smile. If you eat that every day, well, we already know you're dead.
All right. That's a hell of a way to die, though. So that's all I got to say. When we come back, let's refresh our spices and herbs in our very own spice cabinet on Cairo Radio. It's the Hot Stove Society show.
Kansas City, huh? Ribs.
Yeah. That was pretty magical, the thing. Oof.
I mean, who built that roller?
Oh, this is
Buy
all
'em right
custom.
They can be custom built, but you
Yeah,
can
this
buy
is
'em. Southern Pride makes huge. Old Hickory makes huge.
Wow.
The size of this
Wow.
space right here.
it was pretty incredible size. I've never seen that many ribs on a rack in my life.
You
Is
guys
it-
are doing good today. Elise just walked in. Did you see Otilia? Yeah. Yeah, she. Right after spices.
I'm sure they're here.
What do you say?
Wow, this guy breaks down his own boxes.
You can tell he's in the business.
Hey, Tony, look to your left. I just inherited my mother's stove.
You guys have got to look in the stove before you leave.
Her kitchen is marked out.
Where's Otilia? She's not here yet. Is Elise here? Oh, hi. Bonjour. Ça va?
Looks like you guys might be getting a little cake. You out of here?
No. I love this show. A good buddy of one of your good buddies, Peter Dow.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I worked.
Had dinner with Peter.
Oh yeah, over. Did you go to Hinsville?
No, every year we have.
You do the dinner. Yeah. You get
So
the.
now it's at Pam's house.
No.
Okay.
And then I think Maddie, his daughter, is taking
Yep.
it over.
Oh, the dinner.
Yeah.
Is she living in Peter's old house in Ballard? Yeah, Ballard. I live in Ballard.
Right around, my neighborhood is Blue Ridge.
Yep.
She lives right around Broadview, and then that's what,
Yeah. I live on the corner of 80th to 32nd. So Sunset Hill. No, no. This is like almost. It's 32nd. So that's like the north south.
Yeah, north.
Yeah, but it's like the main arterial that everyone uses to
Oh,
go.
80.
80. So it's arterial. If I was $2, then yeah. I'm not a majority owner yet. And look at it.
You're out there selling.
Go ahead. There's a story in wine. We need some wine.
You ready, Chef?
Ready.
All right, here we go. It's the Hot Stove Show. Hopefully you're watching us on YouTube right now, taping Thursday mornings here at the Hot Stove Society Kitchens. And if you're not, just listening along.
That's right.
Pam is going to figure out a way that we can get some live questions asked on our Google telephone. Yeah, so we're going to do that because we want to hear from
Maurice from France.
Yeah, we want to hear from you about your travels, about your cooking, about your gardening. We want to hear. So that's one of the things, Pamela. We had a radio meeting.
We're going into the future here.
Yeah, we're looking into
2023.
Well, years ago when Tina was producing the show, we did have this.
Yeah.
But we never really utilized it very much.
Right.
But here we go. All right, it's time to do your spices. I said earlier in the opening of the show that this is a typical time for me. And I think of it, I try to associate it with an event. So to me, I associate it with the Super Bowl, that it's time to kind of look at my spices and be brutal.
Right. And you have
You know what I mean by be brutal, Chef?
Yeah.
What,
As
what?
in, don't be bashful.
Yeah, I know you spent good money on them, but now they belong in your compost bin.
But isn't the Super Bowl the perfect day to use all those herbs and roast them all? And
No, not
put
if they're
them in
not
your
good.
popcorn or
Not
something?
if they're not good. So the key to me is you have to date your spice jar.
Uh-huh.
And then the second thing is you have to go and be tactile with it. So like if you have coriander seed, right?
Right.
No, a lot of people don't use coriander seed very much.
Right.
But just go in, put it in your fingers and smash it,
Right.
and see if you get a beautiful coriander fragrance. If you don't, they're dead.
Yeah.
Bury them with the ritual of Super Bowl.
Let me say, I think that's where we should start. Herbs don't last forever. No spice lasts forever. You know that.
I mean,
box?
it might last forever.
Yeah. If you buy them, they do last forever. But if you don't, no, I'm just kidding. No, but spice don't last forever. They do have a potency that diminishes as time go by, especially with the surrounding in your cupboard of heat and all kind of different things. Plus, you open them, you close them, you open them, you close them. So there's many components of life of a spice that comes against them staying fresh. Most dry herbs should not be in your cupboard for more than, I would say, 6 months to a year. And then after that, you should definitely move on and use them all in one bag and then go away and then buy some new one. And Tom used to say, one of the great technique to be knowing how much to buy. If you go to Spice World, they will sell you 1/4 of an ounce. You're just going to buy the herb. But the idea is you take your jar and you mark it where the amount of leftover of your spices is. Because that's how much you have left already after 1 year. Throw that away and then replace it by that amount. And every
I
year,
haven't heard this technique. I like
Tom
it.
used to say that. He used to say you take a Sharpie and you mark your jar. And I think it's a very clever idea because it teaches you that you don't need a full bottle. Just buy half an ounce. You've only used a half an ounce in a year. Next year, unless something drastic happens, the best thing that can happen is you use it all by halfway through the year and you have to buy more.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's a great technique. I think it's a very awesome technique.
I'm going to push back on one thing because I think people will take us literally sometimes. When you say a half an ounce, you buy a half an ounce of chives.
But that's a lot.
It's like a half quart container. Yeah. So the thing is, you want to go to a shop like World Spice down here at the Pike Place Market area and buy by the gram,
Right.
or buy by the bring your bottles and have them fill to a certain level in your
Exactly.
bottle, and they'll sell it to you by the but whatever their minimum is, and that's how that works. Because spices are very light. A lot of seed spices are best to buy in seed form.
Right.
They all have natural oils in them, so when you grind them with your mortar and pestle or in a spice grinder, you'll smell that oil, and you just got to make sure they're not rancid at some point, which typically they're not. Not seeds, nuts maybe, but
No,
not
it's
seeds.
just they don't have any flavor. That's
Yeah.
So it is a good advice to go home, look at your cupboard, and go.
Empty it.
He's right. I got
Start over.
You have probably some spice like Old Bay that's been in the corner of your cupboard for the last 10 years. Guarantee you that stuff is not Old Bay anymore. It's old Bay. There's like 5 more old behind it.
Mhm.
So get rid of it. It's not expensive enough for you not to buy a new one, and you're not wasting food. You're actually making your food better. Just buy it fresher.
Well, that's the thing that as I said earlier, the thing that makes me crazy is people will go out and buy a prime rib for Christmas time.
Yeah.
And put a 10-year-old rosemary on top from their jars. It's just
I might as well go outside, grab some wood, and put that on top.
yeah,
Same thing.
same idea. So.
I'm wondering if there's a new spice in your rotation that's a must-have. Is there? Have
Well,
your
there's a
taste?
few.
I know about thyme and tarragon.
No,
for
no,
you,
I wasn't
Terry.
going to say
No,
that.
but I'm
Uh,
thinking more spice blends for me, like
Yeah.
Oh,
Zatar.
blends.
I've been really kind of into Zatar. We got a jar from what's the company
Villa
that?
Gerarda.
Yeah, we got a jar of their Villa Gerarda Zatar, and I just love it.
Yeah.
It's so green. It tastes different than I expected.
Plus, it's not a common spice. Like,
Mhm.
it's not the spice you used to. So it's a different profile.
It's a blend.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
blend, but it's a different blend profile. So it's really interesting to put on roast. And I mean, I've used Zata on just about anything.
Yeah, you can do it on roasted potatoes, but it's also good as just with olive oil as a dip
Yeah,
on
yeah.
pita bread or something
Sure.
like that. So, and what about Ras Al Hanout?
Ras
So-
Al Hanout is my favorite because I love everything Moroccan, in case nobody knows that yet. But Ras Al Hanout is a home spice blend, and it usually
I mean,
encompasses
literally from the home, right? It's
from
like
the home.
the
Every
house
home has a
blend.
different
Yes,
style.
exactly.
slightly different in every home. But the main components are turmeric and coriander, cumin, turmeric, ginger, and then from then on you have a little bit more. Each house just cinnamon, a little bit of depends nutmeg. It depends on the different spice that people add. But I put mint and thyme and all kind of different things. When I used to do the spice rub from the chef in the hat,
Mhm.
I used to do a few different spices added to that to make my own rub. But yeah, it's to me, cumin, turmeric, ginger, and hot chili, and black peppercorn whole. Those are probably 5 of it. If I had to only have 5, I would probably stick to those coriander. I love coriander, fresh coriander. I mean,
6.
dry coriander. 6. I have probably, without lying, 25 in my cupboard.
Yeah.
But
There's other beautiful spice blends out there. When you see masalas out there, again, it's a house mix of spices.
Yeah.
In every different in every household. Togarashi is one that I use probably as much as anything. So togarashi is a Japanese mix of in nature, but typically you'll find it in a restaurant on the table. Like we look at salt and pepper, they look at togarashi, and it's typically sesame and seaweed and chili and salt and sometimes a little zest of orange or something of that nature. Furikake is the same thing, where you can, if you look at the grocery store, you'll see dried bonito flakes in it. You'll see maybe dried egg in it, all different flavors of furikake. Great on steamed rice. Just a big hot bowl of steamed rice with tons of furikake on top.
oh my
And
God.
that furikake is more of a seaweed-based spice blend.
Right.
Yeah.
So get up there, go
So
to
fun.
World Spice.
Go to
Yeah.
World Spice. They are experts. They're helpful. The
They're used to
product
it.
is impeccable. It's really.
And
the
what about
product-
Tenzing Momo? Is that a place that you can get culinary spices too, or just
Not as many,
not as many?
but it's worth the trip.
I know,
If
it's
you're going
a-
to go down to World Spice, you better go to Tenzing. I think it's one of the original apothecaries in the United States,
I would've-
longest
I-
running.
I'm sure you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then you smell
They're your
it.
people.
They're my people.
Except it's so
So
strong.
smelly.
It's so strong in there. All right, we're
So
gonna
many oils.
Terry, take us into the next segment if you would, because I don't want to mess up their
Next,
names.
we're gonna talk about a French tradition called la Galette des Rois.
Yes, we are.
So
Here.
fun. Right here in the Hot Stove Society show on Cairo 97.3 FM. Cam, don't forget to get Tony one of those cakes.
Everybody's gonna get one.
I don't know. I just don't know if they're.
Over here. Bonjour, mesdames, mesdemoiselles. There you go. Take Pam's mic. That's cool. I love that. Pam's gonna go, wait, there's somebody in my chair. You're not the producer.
I am.
Ça va, Otilia? Ready to talk about la galette? Comment t'appelles ton nom?
Elise Morin.
Moreau?
Morin.
Morin. Je trouve-
That is so darn pretty.
Look at this beauty. You guys ever heard of La Parisienne bakery shop? Right up the street here. Fourth and Bell, sorry. Couldn't remember. Fourth and Bell. Beautiful.
I try to go in sometimes, but it's always too busy.
Which is a good thing.
Good thing.
It's a good problem to have.
If you can keep Tom out, you're doing great. That means it's too busy. That's good.
This is gonna fit on your.
All right, wait. This is not for me. This is for so the actual.
For the show, chef.
I'm gonna say something to the public here first.
Okay.
So you guys, when you get your galette, there's gonna be a little thing inside one of them or a few of them. It's called in French. It's called the fève. In English, what do we call it?
Figurines.
Figurines. There's a little figurines made out of clay. So, excuse me, Madame Roturo. This is actually a message that you need to listen to. Inside your cake, there's going to be a little figurine. So be careful when you eat, not to chew on it or break your teeth. This is called la Galette des Rois. We'll have Elise and Otilia talking about the tradition. Otilia is the director of the Alliance Francaise in Seattle. And Elise is the chef owner of La Parisienne bakery and marketing guru.
Sure, that would have been a great radio segment if you'd.
I'm going to do it again. I'm just going to wait for them to. I just didn't want them
Annie,
to.
did you find the figure?
Yeah, she put them on. On all
Oh,
of
there's
them.
one.
No, there's not. She's
Ah.
the one putting them in.
Okay, does everyone remember? Don't bite down on the figurine, or
Use
you'll
your fork.
be visiting your dentist this afternoon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
Ready?
ready?
We're in the hot stove kitchen here on Cairo. It's Tom Douglas.
Terry Rotero, the chef in a hat.
What do we have in front of us, chef?
What we have in front of us is a French tradition January cake, or I would call it a cake, and it's
Yeah.
called La Galette des Rois. And this one is made particularly today by La Parisienne, a bakery which is right up the street on 4th and Bell, and the chef owner daughter Elise
More daughter,
is with us today. And Elise, why don't you tell us? Well, we're going to start with you. Tell us what
Sounds
the
great.
tradition, where does it come from, and what's in it?
Well, la galette des rois is a French cake, so it is really important for us to be able to maintain the French culture. So January is definitely a really important month for us. And so la galette des rois, we're celebrating the Epiphany. So after the holidays, Christmas and New Year's, we still have more celebrations. So with la galette des rois, so this is a traditional cake. So it's made with puff pastry with almond paste. And the celebrations is for the Epiphany, so the manifestation of Christ. But this is, really a really popular cake in January in the French culture. And there's more like into it. So basically, when we cut the galette, like the kid, the youngest of the table, goes under the table and say all of the names of the people who are joining the party, and the person who has the small like fève, so in French, the small figurines, he's the king or either the queen of the day. So, and then after that, you have to put the crown on top of your head, and then you can celebrate with your friends or family, and then you're either the king or the queen for the day.
Just for the day?
Just for the day.
Oh.
This is so
It
tough.
seemed like you would
Just
like
for
to
the
have
day.
a year celebration on
No, no,
being
no.
the king of the year.
You got to find an excuse for every month. This
Oh.
is the month of January.
Okay.
That's your excuse for the day.
All
And
right.
as I mentioned, there is almond paste inside, but like for people who don't really like it, there is also like this different variations. So you can either put like chocolate paste or you can put apple compotes. So right now on our menu at La Parisienne, we have like 4 different kinds. So we have the traditional one, of course. We have the chocolate one, the apple one, and also the brioche for people who don't really like the puff pastries. And all of them are really good to celebrate the Epiphany on January 6th. Yeah.
It's very nice you offered different type, because I
Yeah.
think it's very much 2023 to take those traditional cake and still celebrate, but
Definitely.
you know,
Some
there
people
is-
can't eat nuts. Some
Yeah,
people,
exactly.
yeah.
There's a lot of restriction in our diets today. So,
Yeah.
and then Otilia, director of the Alliance Francaise, what's the connection with the Galette?
Thank you, Terry and Doug, for inviting us. Our Alliance celebrates La Galette des Rois since many years, and we have partnered with La Parisienne this year and the previous years before the pandemic. We are coming back to in-person events, and we're very happy to start the year with this collaboration with La Parisienne and also the Union of French Expats, l'Union des Français à l'étranger. So we're very happy to come together and start the year in person with our members and followers and Francophiles in Seattle, really.
Members and non-members can
And
sign up?
non-members as well, yes. Yeah.
And where is the party at?
The party is at the La Parisienne,
it's
so
gonna
they're
be-
organizing this. And
It's going to be at La Parisienne. And then, it's going to be for like non-members and also members. So like there's still tickets available. I just checked before coming.
Yes.
So like people can still like book their tickets. And it's going to be on Saturday, January 14th from 3 to 5, right?
Yes, right. Yeah. And the tickets are almost sold out also. So if you're interested, you have to hurry up and buy one
Oh,
today.
we'll make some room. I won't go.
Yeah.
I'll just wait outside for my galette.
Or you can
you have
come
a
at La
copy
Parisienne.
machine.
I have,
Yeah.
I have a copy machine.
You can make more tickets. Yeah.
Exactly. No, I'm sure. And so l'Alliance Francaise, this is one of the activities that you
Right.
do at the Alliance Francaise.
Yes, we have many cultural events. We are part of a big network. We are 800 in the whole world, and there's 105 in the US only. Our Alliance is a medium-sized. We have about 400 students and almost 700 members. And we also organize events with many partners in local partners, Seattle International Film Festival. So we do film events, cultural events, author events, book launches with Elliott Bay Bookstore. We're very busy throughout the year.
Drinking events. You forgot
Drinking
that one.
events, yeah,
That's
especially in this spring, we have a wine tasting with Chateau Pomard. So check it out on our website, which is www.afseattle.org. We also have a tasting French brandy tasting also coming up this spring. About, I would say, 4 times a monthly happy hours in French. So if you know a little bit of French and you want to, have a conversation in French, come to our location. We are situated in Wallingford at Good Shepherd Center, which is a beautiful building. If you don't know it, there's plenty of parking. It's located in a wonderful park and community gardens with a playground. So we do encourage you to come see us, call us, come visit us, take a class, a workshop even. You don't have to take a whole class. You can come once a month for a workshop or a community event. We also have a film club. So if you like French films, you are welcome to join
Who
us.
doesn't?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
That's awesome.
So Elise, will you have this? I'm sorry, Chef. Go ahead.
Is there anybody in the audience who became a king or a queen today?
Ooh, nice.
Oh, we have a king right there.
You're the king. Okay, so you
queen
need to
right
wear
there.
the crown.
Here's the crown. Here.
No,
Where's the
no,
crown?
we have more crowns. We have more crowns.
Okay.
We need to give them the crowns to
Yeah.
wear.
Of course.
Absolutely. Crown for day.
Elise, will you have these galettes available all month, or just
Yeah, of
just
course,
for the-
yeah. No, not only for January 6th. We're going to have the Galette des Rois until January 31st. Yeah.
Okay.
And all of the order can be made online or at the store. There is plenty of Galette des Rois for everyone.
And you deliver.
Of course, yeah, we can deliver.
That's
we
hot.
can- Many different ways to get the Galette des Rois. No excuses.
Many ways to get fat. I love it.
Yes.
Well, your bakery is so lovely. It has certainly much more than just a galette.
Thank you so much.
From croissants to baguettes, you name it. So,
Yeah, definitely. We have different, we offer different variations of bread, viennoiserie, pâtisserie, and homemade chocolates, galette des rois, wine. And also, it's really important to mention that galette des rois goes really with cider, right?
Oh,
Yes.
really?
True.
Let's not
Yes.
forget that, because during the event, we're going to have galette des rois and also the cider
a
tasting.
Normandy
Yeah.
cider type?
Yes, of
Yeah.
Well,
course.
this is isn't that originally from Normandy?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, so cider, galette des rois,
What
best pairing.
what a great way to celebrate in January.
Exactly,
Especially in
right?
Seattle.
Yes.
Well, it's such an unexpected location. You're driving through downtown Seattle, and on 4th Avenue, amongst some of the towers on the north end of downtown, all of a sudden you see the little the French pastry kitchen there at La Parisienne, and it's just such a nice treat to kind of stop and walk in. And they have, there's the bike lane kind of cuts in front of you now, but you can still pull right in there and park. It's pretty simple.
Oh, yeah. And we have a parking behind the bakery as well, where there's different, a few spots. So no excuses not to come to La Parisienne.
What can we look forward to in February from La Parisienne?
Valentine's Day, I think so.
I know, that's
right?
what I'm saying. Yeah.
Homemade chocolates, love everything. So yeah, please come to La Parisienne
I
in
like love
February.
everything. That's good.
Yeah, yeah. Pastries, yeah, we're gonna have some creations coming up in February for Valentine's Day, so definitely come. And my dad, who's the chef, so Patrick Morin, will make some homemade chocolate with the 2 French chefs that we currently have at the bakery. So yeah.
I was going to try and offer you, we knew you were coming today, and I was going to offer you, I brought 4 cases of Rotorua champagne here last night, and I was going to try and offer you some today, but
They drink everything.
Pamela and Thierry and Kathy literally drunk us dry last night. 4 cases of Rotorua champagne.
You can't put champagne out and not expect people to drink.
Oh, you drunk all right.
Champagne can keep me
No,
away.
super fun.
Oh.
Thank you so much for joining us today. What a lovely treat.
Thank you for having me today.
Everyone out there, you just had the cake. What do you think? Awesome.
Glad to hear.
Really tasty. And I think that the beautiful thing for me is it's so difficult to get puff pastry perfect.
Yeah.
Because people want to mush the edges so that it doesn't rise, or they don't handle it properly, or they buy just the store-bought frozen. This is a beautiful rendition.
I think it's a great tradition to have items like this too. Every year you go, oh, let me call La Parisienne and have my galette ready, and I just come in and pick it up and get a baguette at the same time, and maybe a little éclair, because I'm a fiend on the éclair au café. They do chocolate, but I like cafe, and a little tart.
I think it's a little bit like a seasonal vegetable, right?
Yeah.
It's like you think about asparagus in April,
Yeah.
you think about galette in
I mean,
January.
you think about not drinking and diet. Hey, galette des rois, that counterbalance all that stuff.
Yeah, that
You know,
craziness,
Yeah.
that non-drinking
Broccoli.
and diet.
Galette des rois.
Uh-huh. All right. When we come back, it's time for Food for Thought Tasty Trivia, brought to you by Rub with Love Spice Rubs and Sauces. Thank you for staying with us. On Cairo Radio, it's the Hot Stove Society Show, 97.3 FM.
And
Thank you.
Don't you have a really nice lunch program too? Savory food? Sandwiches?
Yeah, I know. We have
Sandwiches.
sandwiches.
Yeah.
We have charcuterie boards,
Yeah.
boards, yeah.
Yeah.
No, we have. I thought like we. I mean, it's kind of like the bakery and a restaurant. You know, it's like
Yeah, I
you
should
never know
have
where to.
just how to
Yeah,
describe
yeah,
it because you do so much, but I think people can go there for
Oh, yeah,
lunch.
college, I mean, we have a lot of people now. Even like, you know, for some people stay like the whole day, coffee in the morning, lunch, and then on their computer, they don't see the time, so they stay like the whole day, which is nice.
You don't kick them out?
No. We close when we close, yes.
Thank Yeah, I know. It's the almond.
I like that the almond doesn't taste like perfumed almond. It tastes like
I haven't tried it yet, but I know they do.
John? I'm Edward. It's the best way to eat it.
it sounds familiar, but I don't.
Try the recipe here for.
Yeah. Well, it very well could be the case. But prior to COVID, I had 1,000 coworkers, and so I couldn't even keep track of them.
Delicious, huh?
Oh yeah. No, not all of them. Some of them are good. Some we're still trying to get open. It's like, yeah. Everyone had to deal with it. So. Nice to meet you, Edward. Pamela, have you picked out a victim yet?
Does anybody want to volunteer?
Who wants to be our victim? In
Who
trivia?
wants to play trivia? Not everybody at once,
Otilia
please.
wants to. Otilia, do you want to play? No.
Elise,
Tony.
Elise, you wanna come?
Play trivia? All right, Tony's coming.
okay,
in.
Tony, you're gonna play. All right.
That's beautiful.
You get some?
I got the other one. The big king.
Oh, you did? That's your crown. Put it on.
All
There
right.
you go.
I got it. You got one. You got it too.
Oh, Majesty.
Yeah.
Okay, Pamela, we're ready.
Oh, Tony?
Yep.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
We were looking for a new victim.
It's a 3 T's again. Tom, Terry, and Tony.
There you go.
You knew we would be
Behind.
Behind.
Well, we have a class right after this, so
That's why we're trying to move.
What time?
12.
Oh,
We're on it.
Welcome back to the Hot Stove Society show on Cairo. We have reeled Tony Magnano back to the microphone to be our latest victim
I'm glad you
in
didn't
our-
leave.
in our Rub with Love Food for Thought Tasty Trivia Challenge. Rub with Love are spice blends that have an important place in your pantry. In my opinion, they should. Anyway.
They should.
They can either inspire a meal or enhance one. The family now includes 20 rubs, which we make right there in Ballard, 4 sauces, and a terrific mustard, our roasted shallot mustard. Rub with Love is available around the area at grocery stores like QFC, Town and Country Markets, the Thriftways, the Pacific Northwest Shop, and Made in Washington stores. If you're heading to Las Vegas, be sure to visit Rub with Love's best customer outside of Seattle, the Butcher Shop on Rainbow Boulevard.
Wow.
Who knew, huh?
Rainbow Boulevard. I love
Rainbow
that name.
Boulevard.
knew?
Today, our prize is a 3-pack of rubs by the winner's choice. They can go over to our gift shop and pick out the 3 rubs that they want, put it in a little box, and give it to themselves or give it to a friend.
Tony's going to pick the person that gets the gift too.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, he's got a big job
Got it
today.
all.
He's thinking,
right,
of,
got it
he's
all.
thinking of putting Napoleon brand on that.
What do we? How do we play the game, Pam? And how do I win?
The 3 contestant victims are each going to get 5 questions, and as you heard earlier, everybody's going to get something about food waste in America as part of their questions, and somebody's going to get the most right, and some going to be a loser.
Have they seen them? Have they seen the questions? They've
No,
seen them.
we
They
already
made
know.
the questions.
We already
Oh,
give
no.
$20 to Pam to get the answers.
Oh.
But it's going to be interesting to see Tony go back to work today with his L on his forehead.
Ooh.
The whole office.
We're going to get a call from Napoleon Products
see.
saying, "What did you do to Tony?"
All right, that's tough.
Chef in the Hat. True or false? Until the wire whisk was popularized in the 19th century for the vigorous mixing required to make meringue, the tool that was often used was birch branches and bundles of straw. Would that be true or false?
That would be true.
That is absolutely true. Multiple choice, number 2. What is the U.S. Department of Agriculture estimate of worth of food dumped into landfills each year? Is it 1 billion, 30 billion, or 161 billion dollars? The worth of food that's dumped into landfills.
161.
Correct.
The most.
It's horrifying.
It is horrifying. We could probably save the whole world with just that amount of
We
money.
could feed the world. Number 3, every year California farmers produce more than 3 billion pounds of almonds. What percent is that of the world's supply? Is that 25%, 50%, or 80%?
80%.
You are on a roll, chef.
It's cheating.
And that's
It's
it's
cheating.
very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate because that requires a lot of water.
I
And
know.
California doesn't have
Any water?
They do today.
Yeah, they did in the last week more than they want, sadly.
True or false? The filmmaker Werner Herzog ate maggots to coach the actor Christian Bale, who had to eat them for a scene in the movie Rescue Dawn.
True.
Correct.
Who would make that question?
Christian Bell would do something like that.
And finally, 5, true or false? Scientists think bananas were domesticated more than 7,000 years ago on the island of New Guinea.
That is absolutely true.
Winner! 5 chicken dinner.
Whoa!
Way to go, chef. I'm going to show Tony Magnano who's boss.
He's got his phone out.
might
Mr.
have-
Mob.
you might
over
have to
there.
That was 3 true or false.
might have to
3
put-
true or false.
Hey, you might have to put the chef in the hat under that Napoleon.
Oh.
Put a little hat on Napoleon.
Tony, this one's complicated.
You know, Napoleon's dead. And chef is available. Yeah.
I'm actually I'm a bit taller than him, but I
Just
do have the accent.
Just as nasty. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
This one's complicated, and I wrote it late last night, so it might not make sense.
After the champagne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The kitchen, historically the symbolic heart of domesticity in the Arab world, has often kept women tethered to household responsibility and out of the workforce. Only about 25% of women in the Middle East participate in the labor force, the lowest such figure in the world, even as female university graduates in the region often outnumber their counterparts. How has social media helped change the power dynamic?
What the hell is that?
That's 2 bottles of champagne in right there.
I mean,
you know what I love is like, wait, what was the beginning?
Can you start?
How has social media helped empower Arab women?
There's just me, just freestyling here.
Yeah, freestyle.
There's only one answer.
I mean, I would assume that it's drawn attention to their plight and in the challenges.
They're
You know-
cooking and followers on YouTube.
And so getting likes
Yep.
and
And
drawing attention
subscribers.
to and subscribers, and therefore they can
This
make
is
a few
how I
extra
lose
bucks.
every week.
Yeah.
Correct.
Looks like I won't be back again.
Nice job, Tony.
You got it.
You
got it.
nailed it. You nailed it.
You know that. Social
True,
media.
true or false? In the United States, food waste is responsible for twice as many greenhouse gases as commercial aviation.
True.
Exactly. True or false? When food rots in landfills, it generates methane, a greenhouse gas far more potent than carbon dioxide.
True.
Yep, he's catching up with Chef in the Hat. Which species spends more time each day chewing? Humans or chimpanzees?
Knowing the humans.
Pandas.
Humans.
Did you say pandas?
I said pandas.
He said pandas. I'd like pandas. I'm gonna change my
Humans
answer to
or
pandas. Humans.
Humans spend about 35 minutes a day chewing. Chimpanzees chew about 4 hours a day.
Oh.
What
Approximately.
about chewing the fat? That counts.
And finally, approximately how many pounds of milk do you need to make a pound of cheese?
How many pounds of milk do you need to make
Specifically
a
in
pound
Parma?
of cheese?
Is it
I
a
don't know,
fresh cheese or dry aged cheese?
Oh,
Big difference.
I don't know, 4-1?
Yeah.
close. 10 pounds of milk to get a pound of cheese.
10-1.
Because you're removing nearly all the liquid from the liquid to get down to the substances. How do you do, Terry?
He did okay. He did well. He did 3 out of 5.
Terry's going to leave a note on your answering machine.
Hi, you've reached the Chef in the Hat. Tony is not available. He's wasted.
He's dead.
He's
buried under-
hiding with his L on his forehead.
Tom Douglas,
Yes.
what state recently passed a law mandating that some businesses donate edible food they otherwise would have tossed out?
Has to be California.
You bet it is. True or false? In Asia, Europe, and the United States, several new mobile apps offer discounts on restaurant food that is about to be thrown out.
True.
Boy, as long as there's a good Samaritan law, because you can get in trouble if somebody gets sick, right? So
Yeah.
you have to have good Samaritan law. So yes, with a good Samaritan law.
It is true. These apps now exist. A new movie, Corsage, about the 19th century Empress Elizabeth of Austria, talks about her shoulder tattoo, her wine with breakfast, and the leather masks that she wore as part of her skincare routine. What did she stuff her face masks with?
Banana puree.
Raw veal.
Raw
Oh.
veal.
Ooh, I gotta watch that
That's
movie.
awesome. Is it from where the expression masked tartar? Not an expression. I just made it up.
That was fast. How many pounds of yerba mate, a strong and often bitter drink brewed from the leaves of the native plant to South America, did Argentina's national soccer team bring to Qatar for the World Cup? Would you like multiple
I
choice?
can't even drink 1 can of that stuff. It just makes me twisted. So how many pounds?
How many pounds did the soccer team bring?
Were they using it to make tea or what?
Yes.
Okay.
They wanted the.
So I'm going to say they brought a pound per man per game. So I'm going to say they brought 250 pounds.
1,100 pounds
Wow.
of yerba mate.
They were on edge.
Yeah, no kidding. No wonder what they want.
And finally, is this true or false? Americans discard more food than any other country,
Of course it's true.
nearly 40 million tons, or 30 to 40% of the entire U.S. food
Yeah,
supply.
of course it's true.
It's true.
We are a
Of course
very
it's
rich country. We can do those things.
We should.
Not saying it's right, but you know what I'm saying. It's like that's just that happens. It's crazy.
You know-
Who's the winner, Chef in the Hat?
Actually,
a
Tom
tie.
is actually.
No, I got one
2.
wrong. You got 5.
I got 5.
So-
He's got 3.
So I'm the loser.
He's
Terry
the
won
loser.
today.
What a shocker.
Tony, you can go back to the office.
All right. Congratulations, Tony. If you want to be part of the show but can't come to the studio, you can join the taping on YouTube Live. Find us at Tom Douglas and Company. You're listening to us on Cairo Radio. The show is produced by Pamela Hinckley, technical director Sean McFadden, and our editor back at the studio is Sean Don't Call Me Del Torre. Remember, if you missed any episode of our Hot Stove Society show on Cairo, you can listen via podcast. Just subscribe with your favorite podcast app.
Happy Galette des Rois and have a wonderful weekend.
Very nice. Thank you so much.
All
As soon as I
right.
get done reading this promo, which we need